Welcome to part 4 of this 4-part series on Back to School Tech. I'll have links in the description below for parts 1, 2, and 3. If you haven't seen at least part 1 yet, I recommend checking that out also to help you get started. Hey, I'm Austin, and my goal is to help you get the most out of your tech and make informed decisions as a consumer. Today, I'm going over Google products. Now, this includes Android and Chromebooks for your student. Let's talk about Google products. Google Chromebooks have become very popular in schools due to the cost, simplicity, security, compatibility with education software, cloud storage, and much more. Now, Chromebooks, like Windows, have a lot of companies that make products for them, which gives you a broader price range and more options. Google runs their own operating system on the Chromebooks called Chrome OS, which means that any app that you want to use will need to be compatible. Now let's start with the pros of the Chromebook. Because they don't need high-end hardware to do most of their tasks, the price is much lower than Windows or Apple computers. These systems can be easier to learn, battery life tends to be much better, and they integrate with all Google services like email, Drive, and the suite of Google apps. Chromebooks do come in a tablet and laptop form, but for a student, I would recommend sticking with the laptop form so that you don't have to buy separate keyboards and deal with connecting over Bluetooth and remembering to change the batteries. Now, for some of the cons of the Chromebook, they have a limited offline functionality, which means without Wi-Fi, there will be some features that you won't be able to use. They aren't typically good for more intense tasks like video editing. Some printers may not be compatible, and software compatibility is limited. Now, another option within the Google ecosystem is Android, which is designed for tablets and smartphone devices. While it has some similarities to Chromebooks, the operating system on Android is designed for touchscreen and has less limitations compared to Chromebooks when not connected to Wi-Fi, such as many of the apps used on Chromebooks may not even work without a Wi-Fi connection, where more Android apps can be used when off Wi-Fi. Now, some of the pros of the Android device are its ability to be more productive while not connected to Wi-Fi, better overall app support, and the price range from really inexpensive to high-end and very pricey. And the cons are the issues with getting updates long-term so that your apps that you use will be compatible over time. Performance can vary greatly depending on the device you get. Build quality for many Android tablets can be subpar, meaning that many of them are made out of a thin plastic, which can break easily if dropped. When comparing Chromebooks to Android devices, the Chromebook is focused more on productivity, web browsing, and light tasks in a laptop-type experience. Android is more for media consumption, apps that can be used off Wi-Fi, and has more touchscreen style layout. Apps can also be compatible with one system and not the other. So some of the recommendations for what to look out for when looking for a Chromebook are the low end for basic work like web browsing, media consumption, and typing up work for school is something with at least 4 gigabytes of RAM and what's called an Intel Celeron or Pentium CPU, that's the processor, and at least 32 gigabytes of storage. This should keep the price around or even under $300. For the mid-range, I would recommend something with at least 8 gigs of RAM, an i3 or i5 CPU, that's the processor again, and 64 gigabytes of storage. This price may range a bit between about $300 and up to $650 or maybe even a little more. There are premium or more high-end Chromebooks also, but for the most part, that kind of performance shouldn't be needed in this situation. Now, in terms of brands, I would recommend brands such as Samsung, Acer, Asus, Lenovo, and HP. There are other options out there, but these are the brands I've used in the past. For the Android tablet side, I would recommend no less than 8 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage, since this system tends to need more performance to run compared to a Chromebook. From there, you can pick the brand, the screen size, maybe a Bluetooth keyboard. Some brands that I have used are Samsung, Lenovo, and Google also makes their own devices. I would stay away from the Amazon tablets for school use, as they tend to be much more limiting in terms of what is allowed to be installed, unless the school specifically recommends them. Now, as you heard earlier, both these systems have their pros and cons. In the end, it really depends on what your student needs in order to complete their projects, their homework, and anything else they may need for school. If you have any questions or anything to add, please place it down in the comments below and let me know. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss future videos. And don't forget to click that like button if you found this video helpful. And thanks for watching. Bye.